Welcome to The Road Less Traveled with Tiffany Rosenbaum. This podcast is about sharing the success and failure of entrepreneurs. Join in and learn from others' mistakes so you don't have to go through the same hardships in business. Now let's welcome your host, business coach, real estate investor, and proud wife and mom, Tiffany Rosenbaum.
Welcome to another episode of The Road Less Traveled. We are here with Travis Brady, the one and only that does events and has done some amazing things. I actually consider him a connector. The things that have happened in my life just by knowing this man is exponential. I can't put a dollar value on it. He doesn't even know the things that were happening in my life right now because of the connection I've had with him. So we're going to go through his story and everything he's accomplished, and you do not want to miss this. I'm really excited.
Tiff, this is a nice setup. I like it. Yeah.
Thanks for coming on because I really do highly respect you. And, you know, we were introduced by somebody. And then I was like, okay, you know, you're kind of like, who's this guy? What's going on? But like my life has changed because of you in the last year. It's insane what you've done for so many people. So I want you to tell your story, and then we can dive into that a little bit.
Yeah, thanks. And I appreciate that. And I'm glad that I've been able to catch you. That was my huge goal for this year, is getting people connected. So like that makes me feel good that that goal has been in the making. So I been in the coaching industry for 20 years. You know, and I was like, man, where do I start with my story? There's so much to share. What I do now is branding. We have a branding agency called Brand X Agency, just recently rebranded it to that. And then we have events we've been doing for 8 years. And we started doing them to just kind of coincide with, you know, what we are doing as an agency. And so now they've just kind of been these two separate beings of themselves, and have people like Tiffany on the stage, which we got Brand X coming up in 2 weeks. You excited?
I am so excited.
What are you most excited about it with it?
I honestly think it's going to change the lives of so many. Like if people will just come and listen and connect, like you said, you're a connector. Mm-hmm. And the thing about it, Travis, people look at you and go, oh, you throw events, it must be so easy. I don't think they understand what it takes to put on an event. I've seen the back end of event working, and I'm like, nope, not for me. It's a lot of work. You put in hours that you're not even paid for. I mean, it's a lot.
That's the life of an entrepreneur, though.
That's true.
Right? Like how many things do you do that you're not paid for, right? And it's so much. And we do that because, I don't know, why do you do that? Why do you give up the paycheck to go put it out there, to risk, to ultimately not be guaranteed that you're going to receive it back? Everyone has a different reason. I'm just curious what yours is.
There's actually a couple of reasons. One, because I can impact people around me. I really, truly believe through business I can impact a lot of people. But two, the high reward. I do want to live a nice life, and that is important to me. So those two actually align very much in my life. But why do you want to do it?
Kind of going back to those reasons. Sometimes I think I'm trying to think of the word, like I've been coaching for so long, so sometimes I lose that, or not lose, I'm just not, I guess I kind of lose like the cool work that we do. You know what I mean? Like we help a lot of people in coaching and speaking, like this podcast, like you affect a lot of lives on a day-to-day basis. And sometimes I lose sight of that sometimes, or maybe not lose sight of it, but I forget how important it is. I think that's what I'm trying to say.
No, I agree with you. I think you can, because when you get into the hustle and bustle, and I call it the suck, the hard, when you get into that, sometimes it's like, what am I doing here? I don't know if you've had that feeling.
Yeah.
Have you ever had that feeling like, did I make the right choice?
Yeah, you know, I had that feeling last year. At the beginning of last year, I went through a divorce, and I'm just getting back into the day-to-day hustle. I'm a warrior. I can give me a schedule. I'm up. I go to the gym. I come back. I eat breakfast. It's just day in and day out. And, you know, in branding, I talk a lot about, you know, finding your 4 W's. And one of your most important 4 W's is why. Why do you do what you do? And the reason why that's such an important question to answer is because it's talking to the part of the brain that's directly related to human behavior. Have you ever heard of the book Start With Why?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, an amazing book by Simon Sinek. I recommend everyone read it. And sometimes we try to read multiple books where I believe we should shorten that list and read books multiple times. That book is a book you want to read multiple times. But I'm just going about my day, and in the middle of the shithole of all of it, and I'm just like, why am I doing this? And I think when you have those moments, it's just you need to come back to that why. We go through a branding process and we find our why, and we feel incredibly connected to that why, and we feel in alignment with that why, and then we go about our business and we forget that we need to rebrand. We need to evolve that brand. And so it does come back to some of these questions like, hey, why am I doing what I'm doing? And so every year I think it's important to come back to these questions and figure out, why am I really doing this? And start to answer some of those questions again.
Yeah, I love that you talked about the why, because Steve Jobs said it. He was in an interview once and he said, we have to be crazy passionate about a why, because there are some really dark days in the entrepreneurial world.
Absolutely.
I mean, every entrepreneur has gone where their back's up against the wall and go, am I going to be able to eat tomorrow? At least I have, and I know a lot of entrepreneurs. But you said something in that, I want to actually go back to it because I think it actually is so incredibly important. You talked about your schedule. How important is your schedule to you?
I think habit is going to beat mindset. A lot of people talk about mindset these days, and I get where they're going with it, but I think mindset is completely over glamorized because our habit is going to teach the mindset more than the mindset is going to teach the mindset.
That's empowering. I like that a lot because it's discipline, right? Your habits, your discipline is what creates a strong mind, right? That's why I cold plunge in the morning. People are like, doesn't that suck? I'm like, yeah, it does. It's hard. It sucks. It's painful. And they're like, well, why do you do it? I'm like, I'm training myself to do hard things, create a habit, and then create the discipline of something that I don't want to do and do it. And then that trains my mind ultimately.
They say we suffer more in our mind than we ever do in our body. And so if you can overcome a suffering inside your body, that makes so come back to mindset, that teaches you to push through hard things. I mean, if you think about some of the hard things you dealt with in this last year in your business, like, were you starving? Were you out on the street? Like, how did you truly suffer? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I try to put that in perspective.
100%.
How did you truly suffer? Oh, your number on your bank account was a couple of numbers lower. Like, how did that actually change your life, right? No, we let it affect us emotionally, and then we take it out on our kids, or we take it out on whatever, and we get money hungry or whatever else. Like, we allow it to impact us in those other ways, and you didn't really suffer, And so I try to keep that into perspective with everything that happens. Like, how much are you actually really going to suffer here?
You're saying a lot of very powerful things like that. We suffer more in our mind today than almost any other time. And I was sitting across with Damon West, and he called the mind a prison. And I loved it, the analogy, because our minds are our own prisons. Like, we either have to break through that and get out of it, or we'll always be blocked by our own prisons that we create. And like going out on your own and doing a branding and marketing, people look at you and go, you must have it easy, Travis. What are some struggles that you've gone through?
Oh man, I still go through the struggles. I think your struggles get bigger. I think you just get better at overcoming them. I love that. Right? And so they say, I think Tony Robbins says this. A lot of people say this, but the biggest problem is you think you shouldn't have any problems.
Oh, you said it perfectly. I wish the viewers could actually see this because I just went like huge. It's so true.
Yeah, and the problem is, here's what I think. The problem is you don't have bigger problems, and it's natural for the human brain to find problems. I remember my last house in Utah, I built my dream house. Awesome. And after I build my dream house, I'm just like, I'm fixated on the backyard. Well, the backyard's not done, right? So I'm So there's where all my attention goes. And then the backyard's done. Well, the side of our house doesn't have cement. So now my focus is all on the cement, right? And I'm focusing on all these problems, but they're all self-serving problems. And I think that's how most people are. You have problems, but the problems are about you. Or the problems are about your family. If you have problems that are about human beings and serving other people, then your family is going to get taken care of. When your family is getting taken care of, you're going to get taken care of. So I think our focus needs to be more outward focused.
Yes.
And this is where personal branding has kind of a bad brand. Personal branding is not necessarily personal branding you. It's about creating a message that resonates with people in the world. And they say, hey, I believe what Tiff does too. Hey, I believe what that person does. Hey, I stand for what this person believes. And it's more about them than it is about you. And we're kind of in this social media. And I think the younger generation is going to struggle with this. Me, the selfie, right? All focused on me. I don't know. How old are your kids again?
15, 13, and 11.
Yeah.
10, almost 11.
Yeah. And so I feel like the kids go through me, like they don't, well, what is mom doing, right? Well, has mom ate yet? Right? They're fixated on themselves. And so somewhere along the way, I feel like we all have to like grow up and think outside of ourselves more.
Oh, I agree.
In that conversation.
And I think when your why is external, it's so much better. Because when people come, and I know you've heard this too, oh, I just want the big bank account. It never works. Like if you really look at someone and the only why is that, it never works. Like Steve Jobs wanted to create a product that was better than anything else. Looked great. Like it was just, he wanted to impact the lives of everybody else. He wanted a computer on every desk, right? But when you just go, hey, I would just want money, you can't just have money as your why because it's sacrificial. I mean, it's just not going to get you anything.
Yeah, money is the byproduct.
Yes.
And so when we're going after the byproduct, okay, and we're not focused on what delivers the byproduct, then we never get that byproduct. And, I grew up, I don't know all the financial struggles you went with, but I grew up lower middle class. We had food on the table. We never had to worry about that. My mom did hair. My dad worked at a body shop that my grandpa, but it was never any lavish vacations. It was you get up, doesn't matter if you're sick or not, you go to work, you come back. And so I've learned a lot of things from my parents, over the course of that period of time. But when you grow up constantly hearing your parents say, and I'm not knocking my parents, this happens in a lot of households, we don't have enough money. Money doesn't grow on trees. And you're constantly being fed this fear of money. Now when you go up in your world, like, I need money. And so now you're trying to like get this money, but you're not realizing how to actually create a process in order to create the money. And you realize real fast, corporate's not going to do it. They're going to put a cap on what you can do. And it's not even that for us. It's like, hey, I am okay working 60 hours to get paid, 40 hours worth of work, right?
When you get started, it's like you're getting paid less when you start a business. It's not, you don't just start and go, now I can make millions right off the bat. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
And I like what you said. I was brought up, so how do I say this? Because my vision of it was one way and reality was another. And I'll tell you why. But my family was very well-to-do, but I thought we were poor. I really did, because anytime I needed basketball shoes or something, I always had my necessities, but if I wanted something new, we don't have money for that. We don't have money for that.
Yeah.
We just don't have money for that. And I didn't realize till later when I got married, because we would go on 2 vacations, but we'd eat peanut butter and jelly, and we would drive, and we never went out to eat. And I didn't have a pop at a dinner until I was in college on my own. I wasn't allowed.
Oh, okay.
I had Coke. I wasn't allowed. I like it. $2 for that, not okay.
Yeah.
And it was nothing against my dad. I actually learned a whole lot from him because of the way he was. But I realized when I got married, my view shifted. We were actually really well-to-do. It just, because I heard, we don't have money, we don't have money, we don't have money.
Yeah.
And what you said is really true, because I was always fed that I wanted money. And so when I started my companies, I went to the side of, I just want money. I couldn't feed my family, so it was kind of necessity.
Yeah.
But my mind shift changes when I realize is, if you don't add value, you don't have money. Really. You have to add exponential value to your customers and your clients. And it has to be a win-win. Everything has to be a win-win, right? And actually, I've learned that from you a lot this last year. Like, you create a lot of value for people. And I wish more people realize that, because, this is probably going to be one of my biggest years.
Nice. That's good to hear. That's awesome.
I'm really excited.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited. And, people talk about win-win, and I think we need to add a third win to that. So it's a win for me, it's a win for you, and then it's a win for the people you help. And I think if we can start to think three-dimensional in those wins, it starts to change the dynamic of how do you focus in your program? How do you focus in the service that you provide? Like, how do I make this a triple win rather than just a double win? Have you ever seen Fire Fraud?
I haven't, but I'm going to have to watch it now.
I can't. I've watched it once. I was watching again. It almost gives me anxiety, especially if you put together events, because he's putting together this huge event on this island, and he keeps throwing money at it, and everyone's like, this isn't gonna work. This isn't gonna fall through. And they market it to these trust fund babies, and so now they end up on an island where they're literally like trying to survive because there's no food, there's no water. Their tents are blown everywhere. It's hard to watch because you're just like, oh my gosh, what a shit show. And I think when it comes down to it, he was like, okay, I'm winning, you're winning. And he didn't think about the people. He didn't think about the employees that were helping him. He's just thinking about him and his business partner. And then after the whole thing happened, he's in a really bad, he's in a really bad lawsuit. He's in a lot of and then he gets involved with other stuff. And it's just like, dude, when are you gonna wake up? But I feel like that happens on a smaller level with a lot of people, and maybe not stealing or taking money away, but they get stuck in these financial ruts over and over and over. And I heard this stat before. They said only 1% of people actually jump their social class. Have you ever heard that?
I haven't.
Yeah, and they say of those 1% that jumped their social class, half of them, the reason why they jumped their social class is because they married in a higher class. So you're talking 0.5% of people that were middle class are able to
jump out of it,
jump and go to the high class, low class. And it's like, all the reasons of this podcast. Like, are you going the extra mile, right? Are you taking the road less traveled? Are you surrounding yourself around those people? And it's not easy. And people see you or someone else and they go, wow, that must be great. And that must be awesome. Yeah, it wasn't great when we're doing the cold plunges, was it? It wasn't great when we were doing that. And so it requires way more sacrifice than people even realize. I think that, and it's consistent sacrifice is what I've noticed.
It is consistent sacrifice.
Yeah, Michelangelo wrote the Sistine Chapel, right?
Yeah.
He said there's somewhere in the books where people would, congratulate them, and he said if they actually knew what I did, they wouldn't idolize me at all. And I feel like that sometimes in my business, and I feel like that's the truth with a lot of people. Like, if you really understood the sacrifices that we made, would you really idolize that, and would you really want that? So I thought it was an interesting concept.
I love that you said that, because so often, and since I started the podcast, a lot of times I ask, what do you really want? And a lot of times when I ask people that, they will pinpoint what someone else has. I'm like, oh, well, I want that. And I'm like, is that what you want, or is that what their life is? And then if you really dig in deeper, they don't know what it took to get there. And I think that's what's so important. The true entrepreneur that really goes and really becomes successful, they've gone through a lot of hell and a lot of back up against the wall, blood, sweat, and tears, and going, am I going to make it? I'm going to make it. I got to make it. There's no other choice. And they keep fighting.
Yeah.
But one thing that I know our viewers can't see is you are very into health. Like, how do you feel like that has actually helped your journey on the entrepreneurial road?
Back in my college days, I would party and I would wake up and I'd be like, oh, feeling like shit. And, and back then you could recover pretty well. Now as you get a little bit older, and then I just see these people on a daily basis, they are drinking alcohol, they're not eating good, and I'm just like, how do you even operate? And I think they've gotten used to operating at such a low level for so time, they don't understand all the extra energy they're really missing out on. And I just think there's so many things. And going back to your brand, like you need to fit your brand. The moment we see someone, we start to form an idea and a story about that person. And women, I don't know if you ever heard this, women seek love and men seek respect. Have you ever heard this before?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So if I say, Tiffany, I love you, but I don't respect you, or I respect you, but I don't love you, which one would you rather hear?
Oh, well, I'm probably a little bit different because of my background.
You're a businesswoman, so it could be the opposite.
If it was, that one's actually really hard. I want both. Travis, can I have both?
Yeah, you could absolutely have both. So, and the reason why, and I have to ask people that, hey, I love you, but I don't respect you. I respect you, but I don't love you.
Yeah.
Which one would you rather choose?
Because of the business side, and I've been in the business so long, you got me on a hard one. You really do, because that's a really hard. I'm going to go with respect out of business. If I'm home, love. There you go. Two different lives. But I think as a woman, I almost have to have two different lives, if that makes sense.
I feel like people think of business and family life as this line I have to balance on. And I would tell people it's not a thin line that you balance on. It's a line in the ground, and you get to cross it as many times as you need to, right? So sometimes I'm over here as a dad. Sometimes I'm over here as Travis Brady Brands, right? And I'm crossing it multiple times throughout the day. But anyways, coming back to it, the health thing is what you're talking about. Like, love is an action. Are you showing yourself you love yourself each day? You want to receive love from other people, but you don't love yourself. So how could you expect from someone else that you're not giving to yourself? Also respect. How could you expect respect from someone else if you're not respecting yourself, right? And the truth of it is, when you see a fat person that's really fat, you do think differently of them. You just do. We form these micro opinions really fast, okay? And the truth is, when someone takes their shirt off, a man takes his shirt off and he's in shape, he gets the respect of other men. He just does. And so you can call it a shallow thing. You can say, well, that's stupid and I don't agree with it. You could say whatever you want to say about that, but that's just the truth of the situation. And so high performers don't get along with average or low performers because they're constantly fighting of like, hey, let's go to the gym, let's do these things. And other people are wanting to pay comfort. And so to be at that level you want to be around, you got to be around those people. I heard of a complaint the other day about one of our events. You want to hear the complaint?
Oh, yeah.
The complaint was when I was in the room with all those successful people, I started to feel bad about myself. And I'm going like,
that's inward.
Yeah, I was just like,
that's your own.
Yeah, and I think that's how most people are. Most people will go towards comfort than they will growth. And when we're in those uncomfortable situations, we'll remove ourselves. And I've been in those situations. You know, you're the brokest person in the room by far.
Oh yeah,
we don't need to look at bank accounts. We could just, conversation and all they're doing. And I used to get really, really intimidated of those until I started to realize like the lives that they live in order to do that. And sometimes I don't care to have the money for everything that they do and being away from their family and traveling. I live a really awesome life. I have a lot of flexibility. My son stays with me during the week for at least 3 days, full days. And so there's a lot of luxuries that I have. And I think ultimately, in the branding process, we got to define like what is our ideal life. And if we start to fit our business around our life rather than our life around our business, the money probably wouldn't matter as much as you think it does.
Oh, 100%. And I'm going to go back a little bit. Like you said, we were talking about image. I always tell my husband and my kids, it's just life. 90% of everything is how you present yourself. It just is what it is. I hate to say that. We have eyes. So if a person has eyes and they see you, they're already forming a judgment the moment you walk in the room. And you have to decide what do you want their first impression to be so you don't have to fight an uphill battle.
Yeah. And I would say most people already know what that first impression is because here's the thing that I've noticed in my life. When I'm not okay with Travis, other people aren't okay with Travis. When I'm disappointed in Travis, other people are disappointed in Travis. When I love Travis, when I respect Travis, there's a very clean correlation between those two things. And if you have the ultimate love for yourself, the ultimate respect with their actions, and you could look in the mirror and you could look in your eyes and you can be proud of the person you are being or becoming, that is absolutely going to showcase in the outer world. And you've seen that in your life, which is why you're so. And Tiffany's, she makes me seem like a lazy dude. Like she's like, I went to the gym, I went yoga, and I did lunch. I was like, I just got out of bed here. I'm going to go to the gym after.
No.
So you're a shining example. And if you guys see Tiff, she is just muscle here. You are in really good shape.
Oh, you're very kind. But we talk about health, we talk about working out because we're both very passionate about it. And I'm an addict by trade. I've never been an addict, but I realized in my life that I was an addict. I'd be one of those people that would eat the Oreos behind the door because I didn't want to see them, and I couldn't eat just one. I had to have the whole pack.
Right.
And like the Hershey Kisses, you can't give me a pack of Hershey Kisses without me eating them all. But I realized, I had to change my mindset. Like if food was overcoming me or alcohol or anything, if it had control over me, then I wasn't in control of my life. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to be a really good entrepreneur. How the hell am I going to be a really good entrepreneur if I can't even control food or alcohol or something else? Mm-hmm. And so I decided really early on in my entrepreneur journey, all right, I'm going to do the suck in my personal life, in my health journey, so that I could do the suck in business. Mm-hmm. And so I don't eat sugar. I only have 2 grams or less because peanut butter has it. And but I find that if we learn how, the hard and the right decision are usually the same thing. Usually the hard road is the better road. The easy road doesn't get you what you want, mm-hmm. So
Amen
you
to
go
that.
to the gym every morning and you're stacked like crazy. Like if you've ever seen Travis Brady, if he takes off his shirt, it's like 6-pack. It's like a washboard.
We're taking it up a notch too. I'm going to be doing a video photo shoot next week.
Are you really?
So I'm like
you're
dialed
really
in.
You're dialed into your diet.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But that goes to another point. Like when you have to dial that in, the strong mindset it takes, that's why you can be an entrepreneur. Because to dial in a diet, I feel, is almost the hardest thing to do. Mm-hmm. Because food is one of the biggest, it's the easiest access, the biggest drug that we can grab. Mm-hmm. It's easy. It's in our homes. It's everywhere. But to dial that in, what do you have to do to dial that in on a daily basis? Because everything's in front of you.
Yeah, the most important thing is sleep. When we don't get enough sleep, the hormone that tells us our hungry goes up and the hormone that tells us we're full goes down. So the next day, you're naturally going to have a harder time being satisfied and not eating that extra Oreo bag.
I don't eat it anymore, but I was that person.
So that's the first thing. And then water. Are you drinking half your body weight in ounces of water? Because they say we mistake thirst for hunger.
We do.
So the second thing, alcohol absolutely cut out. Sugar absolutely cut out. Breads, flours, all that stuff cut out. And if you cut out those things, man, you're already more than halfway there as far as everything goes. And so it's I do a shake twice a day, in the morning, in the afternoon, then I get a lunch and dinner, and I just get on a routine. And hard can be harder when you don't have a routine and when you don't have a strategy. And I think that's most business owners. They're trying to outwork a bad strategy. And vice versa. They think the strategy is going to make up for the lack of hard work. And so it's a lot of both of them is what I've come to realize.
It's a lot of both. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Mm-hmm. And it's like a construction company. If you hired a construction company, but they had no plans, and they were like, hey, let's just go try to figure out how to build this house. That house would be chaos. It would suck. But the reason why, like I talk about AFT, because they're one of the best construction companies I know. They're amazing. The planning that they do is so intense that when you get on a project, it's easy, And I'm not saying entrepreneurship is easy. They still have things that come up, but they've already discussed what's going to happen. They already know exactly what needs to happen. A lot of times in life, people will see on social media, oh, I should be an entrepreneur. And they don't go with a plan. Like if you want to be an entrepreneur, great, but you need to know what is entailed in that. Mm-hmm. Because you can work in a business and be an entrepreneur and still make a really good income, like have the decision making. You can do all those things. But I think people need to realize social media is a little bit fake, and you need to realize for yourself what you want, not what someone else has, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And this is where branding comes into play. 100%. And branding isn't the superficial thing we build to be something that we're not. It's something that we start from the inside out and work our way through it. And when we start through that, deepest beliefs, life values, right? I know your family's religious, right? And so a lot of your core beliefs come from those deep beliefs like, hey, what happens when we die? What am I going to experience? What am I going to see? What does that mean about this life? And if I'm going to die, how does that mean I should be living this life? And so we don't realize how many of our deep subconscious beliefs we don't realize how much of our day-to-day behaviors in business are formed from those deep subconscious beliefs. And so when we start to get there and get more clear, it gives us clarity and more confidence when we're working on the outside in the business.
Oh, our belief system 100% affects every decision we make. And sometimes we have to break those beliefs down to get where we need to be. I actually want to put a plug in here real quick. Obviously, Travis Brady, I know this year, but he's actually the one that helped me launch this podcast.
And it's super cool, and I love it. This is a nice setup, and I've been listening to some of the podcasts, and they're great. You bring the energy. It's been awesome.
He helps me. He teaches me a little bit. So he's been a little bit of a mentor on the podcast side, and I've appreciated that because going into the podcast was actually really a little scary for me because it's like, okay, I'm opening myself up, you know. But you sat down with me, and I kind of want to go through that so people understand what you do on the back end as well. Because it's not always easy to try to get a vision from someone else out on paper. And you did that really good with me. How do you help people get their vision out?
Yeah, I think it's really so they say every leader has 3 stories. First, they have the story of the past, right? So what did you go through? What did you experience? What trials did you hit? You know, what did you overcome? So when me and you were talking about, hey, I was on food storage. You know, you talk about your dad coming over, you know, and say, Tiff, what are you doing, right? and then you talk about going out and finding a mentor, right? And you talk about this road that you traveled that wasn't easy, right? And so which formed the opinion, or not the opinion, the belief of, hey, you need to go to the road less traveled. And so so we start to reflect on the past, and then we start to look at, okay, what is the future? What do I want the future to look like? And based upon the story we define of the past and in the future creates the story that we're living now. And we all have a story about that. How should I be living? How should people treat me? How much money should I be making? They say we have actually decided our whole life outcome by the time we're 8 years old. And
wow.
Yeah, we've decided what type of person we're going to marry, how much money we're going to make. We've decided a lot about ourselves, you know, through that. And so becoming a leader, I talk a lot about this lately, is becoming a leader is more important about becoming an amazing follower first. And if you look at some of the best leaders in the world, they were an amazing follower. And so kind of go back to the spiritual conversation, Jesus was the greatest follower. And being the greatest follower, he realized he had to lead to follow God's plan.
Oh, I like how you put that because I never thought about it like that.
Yeah, and so when I first started in branding, I was the branding coach because I knew exactly where to coach you on. And what I realized is it wasn't about coaching, it was more about guiding people and being along with them. But even then, as I really started to get into it more and more recently, that's not even what I do. I'm more of a shaman. I'm more of an alchemist that helps them find what their heart seeks to find that is true to them, and helping them uncover that brand and helping them really dive down deep and really going, hey, what do I need to find and how do I need to shift and create this to be something that I really want? And so, and then that conversation, I've realized that being more of that branding alchemist requires me to listen more. It requires me to ask better questions. It requires me to shut up more. Towards leading, we think we need to talk more and we need to shout more and we need to tell people what to do. And what I've realized is it's not as much as that as you originally think it is.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no, I agree. But you pulled it out of me. And I know multiple other people that you've helped them, lead them to where they want to go. And I love your branding story. But And you've done multiple events this year. You're still doing events. You have Brand X coming up, and then you have another one in October, right? Mm-hmm. What's the scariest thing about doing events?
The scariest thing about doing events is you have all these registrations and you've called to confirm people, but you don't really know who's going to show up that day.
Yeah, the unknown.
So it's kind of like it comes back down to a nervousness of, okay, it's my birthday party or my friend's going to show up, right? It's like almost kind of like that nervous. So that's one of them. But when you first start, you're like, okay, am I going to be good enough? Are they going to like this content? I mean, I've been doing this for over 8 years now, and every event I speak on average at least 6 hours. I probably have more stage time in 1 month than most people do their entire lives. And so you work through a lot of those fears that you go through. Are people going to like me? Am I going to say something stupid? Right? What would be one of your biggest fears with throwing an event?
Oh, the same. Like, if I was going to get really into the event space, it's who's going to show up.
Who's going to show up? Because
you can't control them. I can control making sure I get sponsors. I can control buying the event space. I can control the food. I can control this. But not having control who actually walks through that door, that would be a little nerve-wracking.
Yep.
And that's why I said at the beginning, I said, no one understands what event people do and what the agony and the stress and everything they have on them. And that's why I have so much respect for you, because I'm like, you're in a space that is so incredibly hard, but you do it so incredibly well, and you do it for the people around you. And not everybody's that way.
The thing that we ultimately love the most, this is what I can say about almost everyone, the ultimate thing that gives us the most joy, the most fulfillment is when you genuinely help someone and serve somebody.
Oh, that's true.
It's the coolest feeling. And when you speak and when you put together an event, it's like that on steroids. So you have this incredible joy and fulfillment that you get experience, but it's also connected to this failure, like no one shows up. And this is where we live and die as entrepreneurs, right? And so over time, they say usually the thing you're afraid of is already happening in your life. Well, I'm afraid of not making money. Well, you're probably already not making money. Well, I'm afraid that my friends won't like me. Well, your friends are probably already turning on you, right? Like they say the thing we're usually scared of is usually already happening. So when I get scared of something in my business, I look at it and go, what is happening right now? And so going back to like, okay, you're scared of how many people are going to show up. Well, are you sending out text messages? Are you confirming people? Do you have someone calling them? So you try to negate those negative things. And entrepreneurism, not letting the lows get so low and letting the highs get higher. And just over time, you keep riding the wave, over and over. And you know it, right? You know the game.
I do. I love business. I do. I have a true passion for it. I think it's working out on steroids. It's mindset on steroids. It's work ethic and discipline on steroids. Mm-hmm. Because if you can own a business, like and continue through the hard times, you can do anything.
Yeah. Jeff Bezos said most people would actually surprise themselves if they went like all in on their business for 4 years, like gave it a solid 4 years. I think most people, and Tony Robbins says this too, he's like, most people will overestimate what they can do in a year and underestimate what they can do in a decade.
Oh, it's so true. And most people give themselves an out. Mm-hmm. They give themselves a plan B. The successful go, this is what I'm going to do. There's no other turning back. This is the road I'm on.
Here's what I've noticed. It's not just give up or give more. Those are the common two things. There's two other ones that we're not as familiar with. We give in. We just go, This is just status quo. I'm just going to accept this is my job. I'm just going to accept this is my pay. I'm just going to accept my business as it is. And then there's the other one is you give out. Oh, I tried to make the business work, the economy, or I tried to do this, but, blah, blah, blah. Like you give in or you give out. And those are the camouflage ones, right, that most people don't see. And they buy into those ones because it's too hard to say, I just gave up, right?
No, it's so true. It's so true.
Yeah.
I actually just talked to someone that just gave me one of those, I call them excuses. But I'm like, man, let's go through that. And we talked it out. But it's like those camouflage are the ones that eat at you.
Yeah.
You know?
What's the difference between an excuse and a reason?
A reason you usually have a passion behind.
Because I make all kinds of excuses in my business. Like, I have an excuse to why we should do this event. I have an excuse of why we should be buying this extra TV for the stage that costs an extra $1,500 that wasn't in the budget, right?
Yeah.
You start making these excuses or reasons, so you can call them whatever, you can brand them however you want to brand them, but they're the same thing. Excuses and reasons are the same thing, in my opinion.
No, I agree with that. I think you should make excuses for your goals to get to your goals instead of excuses of why not to get to your goals.
Exactly, yeah.
Right? No, I love that. Real quick, I want to do a spitfire with you to close things out. But what is the best advice you've ever received, Travis?
Best advice I'd ever receive? Oh my gosh. Man, I can relate that to so many different things. I'll share one thing I've heard recently that's been like really expanding my mind. I heard this from Andy Elliott. He said, I was at this private event with Keaton Hoskins up in Utah, and I was talking to him, and he said, time is not the most important thing. And I go, okay, and I'm trying to think, because I'm like, what is more important than time? And he said, attention. Attention is more important than time, especially if you have a business. Time can be going on, but you can be getting no attention. Time can be going on, but you can not be putting any posts out there and not getting any eyeballs. Attention is way more important than time. And so I've really been looking at that, like, how can I create more time by getting more attention? So I'd probably say that's the most recent.
What's the worst advice you've ever received?
What's the worst advice? Success is going to be a lonely road. And the reason why I say that is because it put in my mind, at least, the fact that you're going to do this alone. You're not going to have a lot of help. So I feel like I segregated myself from people. And instead of gotten to more communities and been around more people, and I tell people you should have multiple communities you're a part of. I hope that our community is one of those, but ours shouldn't be the only one you're a part of. You should be 100%. Part of multiple communities.
I love that you said that you need to be a part of multiple, because also each community is going to offer a little bit different, and each person offers a little bit different. And when you talk to someone, you never know who you're going to be able to help or who's going to be able to help you. So I love that. If what's the best advice you can give our entrepreneurs that are going through the roller coaster right now, going through the ups and downs, and looking in that mirror going, did I make the right choice?
Yeah, I would come back to exactly what we were saying. Come back to your brand. Come back to your why. Why am I doing this? And I think we have two whys. We have this selfish reason why, like, why am I doing this? That's more self-fulfilling. And then we have this why that's more outer to the world. So I would define both of those whys. And usually those whys aren't just going to something you come up to the top of your head. Like, you're really going to have to dive deep with those. Like, in Dean Graziosi talks about asking why 7 times.
Ooh.
To get to the core. Well, why is that important? Well, why did you say that's important, right? And keep asking that over and over again. And you went through this through the branding book. I have people write down their whys multiple times, different ways. And so that way, and I think writing is powerful is because when you see things, you can trust things. We don't trust our thoughts as much as we trust what we can see.
Oh, 100%. 100%. And last one, what would be a book that you would recommend for them to read that could help them on their entrepreneurial journey?
Let's go back with Start With Why.
I like it. I figured you'd say that, but I like that.
Yeah.
By Simon.
Simon.
I don't know why I couldn't say that, but yes. Awesome. Thank you for coming on today, Travis. We really enjoyed having you.
Thanks. It was a good combo. I like it.
Hey, thanks.
Thanks for tuning in today to The Road Less Traveled. If you're organizing an event, workshop, or simply planning something exciting and would like to have Tiffany Rosenbaum join you or want to have her on your podcast, visit TiffanyMRosenbaum.com and click on Book Tiffany to get started.